Yes. Once more into the breach. Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to Nerd Vengers Tower. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the welcome. Don't think about it too much. What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Wait, what? Yeah, no, exactly. What's up? Welcome. Come on in. I'm already in the tower. Had a nice early morning, getting some things done. It's going to be a good week. I think it's going to be a super fun week. We're going to, of course, break down Hot D Episode 8. Probably, maybe, possibly the best episode of the season so far. And a very important episode for what's to come. And so we're going to break it down. We're going to get into it. I loved it. I loved the episode. I thought it was absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. You know what else was fan-freaking-tastic? Werewolf by Night. Shout out to everybody that came by Friday night. We did a little watch party, showed off the family costume, and then watched Werewolf by Night together. I thought it was awesome. Really, really dug Man-Thing in that show, and hopeful that we see more Man-Thing, man. Like, that design was awesome. That character's really cool. Absolutely brutal the way he kills people, too. So I'm excited about that. That's really cool. And we're going to try to wrap this whole stream up in about an hour, because in about an hour from now, the new season of Bleach airs on Hulu. And I thought it actually came out earlier. Like, I legit thought it came out at like 8:30 in the morning. In fact, we were all ready, yo. We were like sitting down, like everybody was ready, because Elisa started watching Bleach with me as well. And so, yeah, we were all really, really excited. And then we were like, oh, that's 8:30 Pacific. So, yeah. So, we're going to try to wrap it up, because I got to watch that new Bleach, man. That looks really, really cool. So, I'm excited for that. What else is going on? Oh, I think this Friday we're going to try to have another Diamond Tier Lounge. So, if you are a Diamond Tier member, make sure you check that out. We'll be having, of course, a Wednesday stream, Nerd Venture stream Wednesday at 1, Prime stream Friday at 1, and then we'll try to do a Diamond Lounge stream Friday night. We'll say 5:30. Not 100% yet, but that's what we're going to try to lock in. Also, later today, big video about DC. I know, it's crazy. Pretty sure I even wore a Marvel shirt while I was talking about this news. But, of course, this has to do with Black Adam, has to do with Henry Cavill, has to do with DC's future. And I kind of wanted to break down, like, what's going on, what we're hearing from behind the scenes, why fans are upset, and ultimately why fans maybe should be upset, because, well, it's Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is going to Warner Brothers. Other than that, I don't know too much about what's going on this week. I know we had New York Comic Con over the weekend, and there was some really fun stuff sort of talked about in the comic world, but other than that, nothing too crazy. And, of course, let me know what you think about that. And then, yeah, as Jedi Mike is reminding me, something kind of cool happened, man. Like, something kind of epic. And I wanted to show you guys, because we're the best. And so I just, want to show you why and how we're the best. And shout out everybody that voted on this thing. And I think maybe it's still even open. There was a poll. Somebody, tagged me in this over the weekend. But there was a poll on strawpoll.com talking about who the best scooper was, and we got put on the list. And I was like, yo, I have no idea why we're even on here. Like, I definitely don't consider myself a scooper. Definitely have some sources, but I usually just like to report on what other people say, and ping back and forth just to see what the deal is with this, okay? But we went in there, and I just want to show you this because it's so fucking funny. Check this out. Of course, Daniel is the best scooper in the game as far as I'm concerned, right? And he was holding strong on this poll at number 1. That is until the Nerd Vengers got in there, and I mean, here, I'll pull it up so you can really see it. Somebody put the link in chat for people to vote, unless it's done. It might be closed. But Daniel was winning. Now we have literally over 100 more votes than Daniel. So basically what this means is that I'm the best. I'm the best scooper on the internet. And I hit Daniel up about it, and he was like, yeah, you won. Do you want to be called Scooper King or Scooper Lord? I went with Scooper King. That's what I would like to be called. And I'm pretty sure that's what you guys should all call me now in chat. Scooper King. Thank you for that. And it just goes to show that democracy works. I love the system. Just good stuff all around. Just good stuff all around, basically. All right, so let me now pull this up so we can break down this glorious episode of Hot D. I do want to know, as we always do each week, what's your score? What do you rate this episode of Hot D? Put it into the chat. Out of 10, what would you score this episode as? What would you rate it as? Scooper King. Let's go. Yeah. 10, 9, 8. 10, 9.5, 9. Oh, okay. Trev hasn't watched it yet. 11, 69 out of 10. Nice. Yeah, 9, 10. Yo. Man, what a crazy... I got you. I got the member chats. I got it pulled up. Okay. But thank you for the reminder. All right, so this is so wild to me because this show somehow just keeps getting better and better. This is crazy. I don't even know how they are accomplishing this. But the other thing that's really interesting is there's not a lot of action in this scene. In fact, there's none, I believe. No, there's like a little bit of fighting with Amon and Sir Kristen Cole. And he's like showing that he's the badass among the group right now. But other than that, no action. It's literally all character-driven tension and intrigue. And holy shit, is it tense, and holy shit, is it intriguing, right? An episode that absolutely breaks your heart the way Game of Thrones does. And I know I've been saying this for probably the entire season, but I'm going to really just stick my flag in the ground again and say, this is better than Game of Thrones. It's better than Thrones was, even when Thrones was really, really good. It just is. It's more complicated. It's more intriguing. The character development feels better. It's literally less ridiculously grotesque and raunchy for the sake of doing that. This show is using like the same Game of Thrones tried and true things, but in such a tactful, sort of respectful way. It's what I wish The Boys would be, honestly, because The Boys just like goes for it with their like grotesque off the wall shit. And to me, that's not actually the draw for the show. That's just Eric Kripke being a fucking weirdo, right? Like, the show itself, the actual draw to the show is the characters and the tension and the sort of mirrored, corporate structure of, corporate America that's put into the superhero business. Like, that's what's interesting and intriguing about the show. I know some of you guys probably disagree. Some of you are like, nah, I love that shit. I love when he climbed into that dude's wiener and blew him up. That shit was awesome. For me, I'm like, nah, fam, that ain't it. But regardless, my point is that this show is striking a tone and doing something that I just don't think a lot of other shows are doing. And it's exceeding what Game of Thrones did, in my opinion. So, okay, let's just kind of go through this, though. It starts off with this really awesome shot coming over the top of the driftwood throne here, and you see that it was the queen that never was. There's word of her husband being injured in the Stepstones, and as far as I understand it, in the books, this is not the way it goes down. In the books, it's just said that he has fever, but the succession is brought up. Dude, are my dogs, like, killing each other right now? Hang on. Well, that was interesting. Look, sometimes when you have wolves, they actually become very wolf-like and try to murder each other. Anyways, moving right along with DOS breakdown. Holy shit, dude, that got my blood up. I got fired up. Okay. So we come in on this scene here. It's all about the succession, okay? I think what I was saying before is in the books, this is different. He's just got the fever, but the succession does come up. That's what's important, okay? And then this dude stakes his claim. And the thing that's crazy here is, like, his claim is still based around this rumor or this idea, or the truth, actually, right? That the children are bastards, the strong bastards, okay? And I just found that to be really interesting because it seems like it's something that just won't be let go by these people. It runs throughout this entire episode and very likely to be a major thread for the actual war that's going to start. Okay? So this dude comes in, he's basically like, yo, I should be the one, blah, 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 blah. And I love the segue here because she is literally sitting on the throne and she says to this dude, my cousin, the king, would have your head for this. And what this dude literally says is there's not a king that sits on the Iron Throne, but a queen. And he's like just going for it. Like, you got to say one thing about homie. He's going for it. You know what I mean? Bold AF with what he's trying to do. Then we segue into what I thought was an absolutely incredible scene on Dragonstone. And Damon finds a clutch of dragon eggs. This shit's really, really cool. It's just shot so well. It's so interesting. And it's, you know, I think it's kind of showing a side of the show that many people feel is being underserved. And I understand that. And that's like the dragons and the lore of the dragon. In my opinion, what you're going to see happen now is definitely going to show a lot more dragon stuff and a lot more of like the war and, you know, that kind of thing. But I would love it if they talked more about the dragons themselves and like explain some of the lore and shit. But I just don't know that it's like necessary to continue this like awesome ride that we're on. And maybe that's stuff that like will be in the books a little bit more or in some of the ancillary material. But regardless, super cool. He finds the clutch of dragon eggs here. He harvests them, brings them back. I thought it was really dope. They bring them in to the steamer. And then he gets a message from the queen that never was. And so it really does begin to set up this like kind of complicated political situation here between, you know, the blacks and the greens. And you have Alicent and her son who's trying to learn High Valyrian. And a lot of people have brought this up, but it's really, really cool to see that her son is really embracing being a ruler. Like, he really does want to do it, and he's trying to do the right thing. It seems like he's really, really driven to, like, learn the Valyrian tongue, to, like, have all this stuff that's legitimate. I believe it's going to get to this point in the books, too, where her sons are going to go out as emissaries for Rhaenyra, and they're going to ride on Dragonback. And part of the reason that this is important is because, again, they're bastards, right? And that's one of the whole things. But the fact that they ride dragons will solidify that they are Targaryens. And so they're going to show up to like other castles to try to win the support of other lords. And they're going to do so on their dragons, really establishing that they are Targaryens. And this is kind of what you see being set up here, is like he wants to be embraced as a Targaryen. And so he's doing everything he can to sort of become a Targaryen. Also, by the way, did you guys know, and I just saw this pop up in some theory videos and some things like that recently, that it's possible that Aegon the Conqueror actually was not fertile, and so therefore, you know, there's all this focus on the bloodline of Aegon and purity and all this sort of stuff, but his line may have been half Baratheon from the start. Like, it's not confirmed, but there's a lot of people that believe, just studying the lore and the books and things, that the original Aegon the Conqueror may actually not have fathered any children. Wild. Right? So super wild. Regardless, you get to this point here where the son is showing that he basically really does want to be considered a Targaryen, etc., etc. She kind of boots him out. Damon comes in. They have this really interesting conversation, kind of laying out where they are at politically, that she probably thinks they killed her son. It's a bad look. This questions the legitimacy of my children and the legitimacy of me. This is bad. And so Damon's like, well, then let's go to King's Landing. I loved the intro for them to King's Landing, but I did think it was odd that there's no dragons, that they don't roll up with any dragons whatsoever. I was like, okay, well, that's a little weird or whatnot. You know what I mean? I would expect them to be rolling up with some dragons, but they don't. And immediately upon coming into King's Landing, you just get a different vibe, and you get the sense that things have changed drastically, and it has to do with Alicent basically becoming a convert to the religion of the Seven Kingdoms. That the Targaryens don't worship this, by the way, but she does. And I believe in the books, it's basically said that she does this as penance. After the outburst, after her cutting the heir to the throne and the princess of her husband, you know, and wanting the revenge of the eye, right? It is said that essentially she's going to religion, and she's doing this as a way to reconcile her wrongs, right? To have penance. And it's just weird because, of course, I can't not think of the High Septim from Game of Thrones, the whole walk of shame shit, and just how crazy these people, you know, at least part of them ended up being. But regardless, it's this really stark, interesting symbol. The symbolism here is really wild. Like, they walk in, and essentially it's just this huge 7-star. It's also in this chamber here, and she herself has that on her, and she is presiding over the small council as queen, right? This Lannister dude is just kind of being a Lannister butthole. And yeah. So then we cut into this scene, and a lot of people have commented on this as well, but it is really tragic when you see that Viserys's, you know, his Warhammer collection, his HeroClix collection, you know, whatever you want to call it, his Legos, his Hot Toys, you know, whatever you want to call it, they have fallen into disarray. Kind of sucks, man, but it does just show you it's this really interesting symbolism of how far gone he is, how different he is from the man that he used to be. Now, she comes into the chamber, and we get our first look at Viserys, and he doesn't know who she is at first. He's like, who's there, right? And, I mean, this is kind of where it gets so tragic. Viserys has degenerated to a point that I think you'd have to be pretty heartless not to feel bad for him. You also can empathize with him just taking milk of the poppy and leaving everything to Otto. Okay, so it kind of gives him an out for being disengaged with what's going on, and he doesn't really have a grasp that, like, Otto and Alicent are taking over the kingdom, and you can't necessarily really blame him. He's literally becoming a zombie. Like, it's pretty crazy, right? So she explains that they're there. He's happy. They introduce the grandsons. But Damon is pretty much immediately talking about the succession in the Stepstones. He's talking about just how important it is that Viserys reestablishes that Rhaenyra's son will be the ruler of the Driftmark. That's what's going to happen. Because, again, this is all a big political play. You know, later on in the episode, the Queen That Never Was would say to Rhaenyra, tomorrow the Greens strike their first blow and they put you on your knees. And, you know, had it gone that way, that would have been a devastating blow. Right? And so Damon's like immediately like, look, dude, I know you're a corpse, but you need to step up. You know what I mean? And then it's shown that, like, he is just suffering beyond belief here. They give him his tea. It's milk of the poppy. You know, it helps. And then Damon smells it, and he's very suspicious of what this could be. Right? Very suspicious. And he feels like it's a play, a scheme. Something's going on here, right? By the way, too, total side note here. Several different times in the episode, something happens and Damon just goes, And I thought it was brilliant because Matt Smith is the type of actor that, like, he can cut up a scene and he can get very talkative and be very, like, he can just take a scene over. And yet, to really emphasize the sort of roguish, wild card nature of Damon, several times he just says, like, And I felt like it was a really good choice for the director. I don't know if those hmms are in the script, but, like, for the director to basically be like, yo, what if you just, like, and then, like, let the other people, like, do their thing for a while before you come in, right? Really, really interesting. So then we get into this absolutely devastating scene with this young girl here. I mean, I saw a bunch of breakdown videos where people didn't want to exactly say what this was because of, like, YouTube's bullcrappery. And I suppose, like, I'll follow those same rules, but we all know what it is here. Aegon is out there doing the absolute worst shit that you possibly can do to maidens, and his lust for... What's up, Elijah? Thanks for that, brother. His lust for women and his disrespect of them and, like, the way he takes advantage of his station is just really gross. And so he's horrible, and this scene is horrible. How many of you guys, by the way, thought that Allison was going to kill this chick? Because I had that vibe, man, where I was like, yo, she's going to be very, very kind, very, very nice, and she's going to walk out and order her death or stab her herself or something like that. I was like, yo, what? Like, this just seemed... It was a very gross and tense moment. Still think she did? I mean, it's possible. It's possible she still did, yeah. But, I mean, it's just this really gross, like, really hard to watch, hard to process scene. And I kind of feel bad for Allison in a lot of ways here because, you know, she goes to confront Aegon, and Aegon doesn't give a fuck, dude. And he doesn't want to rule. Like, again, you take this scene, you take this stuff, and you juxtapose it against, is it Luke? Who's the firstborn of Rhaenyra? Because here's another problem with this show, and they don't have a lot of problems with the show, but here's one. All the fucking names sound the same, dude. Are you kidding me? You guys know how I am with names. It's Jace? Okay. All these names sound the same. Rhaenyra. Like it's too much, bro. It's too much. Like, come on now. But anyway, yeah, so Jace, you juxtapose him against Aegon, and it's like this one dude is literally studying with the High Maester early before his mother even is in the chambers. He's determined, you know, he wants to be political, and this other dude is like the worst frat boy ever and doing horrible crimes to women. You know, it's just horrible. And yet this is the guy that Allison thinks is like the prince that's promised that should be on the throne. We'll get there. Okay, but it's wild. Now, there is like a hint of like kind of feel bad for Aegon. I don't think you really can feel bad for him because he's like an absolute fucking monster. But at the same time, he's thrust in this position. He wants nothing to do with it. And his mother is just forcing him to do this whole thing. Later on in the episode, after the High Towers get shut down, he actually fucking smiles. He smiles during the proceedings because he's like, yes, I don't have to be king. That's just for the birds. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty wild. So we then get into a scene with Damon and Rhaenyra, and Allison comes in. It's very tense. You know, he's accusing them of basically using the drugs to keep the king zoinked out, and he doesn't believe that the actual judgment or wishes of the king are being followed. You know what I mean? And then we get this scene. This scene's really cool. These two boys, very similar to the scene that we saw last episode where Kristen Cole and their dad, you know, started the whole thing that then, you know, caused them to get killed or whatever. And Jace here, he doesn't give a shit. He's just like walking around. Like, again, I think this kid has it figured out, man. You'll recall that in the prior episode, he was straight up asking his mother about his father, and then he wanted to mourn Harwin, even at the funeral for Lena. And so I think that the way that Rhaenyra talked to him at the funeral probably became something that he kept getting that kind of wisdom from her over and over again, to the point where he seems well adjusted. He knows what it is, but he also knows that, like, nobody can really mess with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, nah, fam, like, we're good. Because the other dude's like, they're staring at us. And he's like, dude, they can't do shit. Fuck them, basically. You know what I mean? And then we get this absolutely awesome scene here with Aemond. And yeah, man, Aemond is wild. I think everybody throw a 1 into the chat if you're absolutely loving Aemond Targaryen as a character. Even if you love to hate him, you got to admit the performance is incredible. Like, this dude is intense and has a physicality. He brings this physical energy to these scenes. Like, shit's wild, bro. Hey, Mike Eddins, thanks for the 20 spot, man. That's very generous. You don't have a message in there. You probably meant to. Just throw the message in later on and I'll read it for you for sure, brother. I appreciate that. It's very generous. Okay. So, this scene's important for a couple of different reasons. It shows that he's an absolute badass. Despite missing his eye, he has become an incredible warrior, mostly because of Kristen Cole actually just making him his progeny and training him in full. Again, Aegon's an idiot. Aegon is a frat boy. Aegon doesn't do anything right. Okay? But Aemond is a second son, much like Damon, and he's trying to make his own way in the world. He's got the biggest dragon in the world, and he's fucking feeling himself, right? So him and Kristen Cole basically turn him into an absolute badass here, and you will recall that as far as power scaling goes, and we're getting into some anime shit now. I can't wait for that new Bleach! But we're getting into some anime shit. Kristen Cole beat Damon in a duel. So Aemond is being trained by the guy that beat Damon. And they're all really good warriors. But as far as like power scaling goes, like that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? That's kind of impressive. And again, with one eye, boom. Dodge, 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 parry, and boom, I've got your throat. And not only that, he then delivers this cold as ice line to his nephews, which shows he's like, I don't give a shit about tourneys. And it shows that he knew they were there. So that's like some ninja, Batman, Jason Bourne-esque shit, right? He just turns around and he's like, oh, by the way, I knew you were here the whole time, mother truckers. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Pretty cool. And so I was instantly like, yo, this dude's pretty cool, man. I like what they're doing with this character. Okay, then we move into this with the fake-ass sea snake coming in. And you'll notice that they've got the tower, the high tower of the green flame on their armor. So they're just all in, dude. They're all in supporting the greens already. You know what I mean? And he's trying to make it happen. He's trying to get the Driftmark, okay? Really interesting. He just comes in and he's like, yo, it is what it is, mother truckers. We cut to Alicent having a conversation with her father. He's like, hold your resolve. You got to do what you got to do. It's all good. She's like, I'm not so sure. And then we get another kind of political intrigue scene. I love any scene in front of a weirwood tree, dude. I love the design of the weirwood trees. I hope, and I have a big macro theory here. Can we just stop for a second and do a macro theory thing? And also, I'm going to lean back. Oh my God. Also, by the way, look at this. I'm in a Targaryen chair now. Shit's hype. Here, let me show you the back. Hang on. Well, you can't really see. All right, anyway, you can't really see that. By the way, my absolutely lovely wife got me that, and she's the best, and much love to Elisa. So she got me that. That shit's awesome. So thank you for that. Okay, anyway, let me just take a pause for a second, okay? They're talking about this prophecy, the Song of Ice and Fire, a lot. And I find that pretty curious because, of course, the actual Game of Thrones show threw that shit into the fire. And they were like, that shit don't matter. Here's Arya coming out of nowhere like a ninja. There's no way Arya's the prince that was promised, dude. It's just not it, right? So, what are they doing in this show by continuing to mention and reference the Song of Ice and Fire, the prophecy? I've got a feeling that the Jon Snow show may well retcon some things or fix some things from the ending of Thrones and allow the prince that was promised prophecy to still take place, okay? Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe I'm just fanboy dreaming. Maybe I'm like too hopeful on that shit. But that's kind of what I think, man. I'm like, yo, they're referencing this prophecy like a lot. And it's something that Dan and Dave absolutely messed up. So maybe it's a thing where like Jon has to come back and actually sit the throne. Perhaps Bran knew that the people of Westeros wouldn't immediately in the aftermath of him killing Daenerys accept him, but it was possible through a series of events that he would be brought back and that people would be like, okay, we embrace this guy now. He's going to be king. You know, possible that the White Walker's threat is not over, etc., etc. A lot of different things like that, okay? But save that for another day. I like the werewood stuff. I like the idea that maybe Loras is a green seer. Maybe Bran is giving the visions to Helena. You know, maybe there's something that, yeah, maybe Bran seeded the prophecy. Like, there's a lot of things that could be going on, and I hope it's paid off in a better way than it was in the original show. Regardless, let's talk about this scene, okay? So, these two, in what I think is a really cool parallel to the scene back in the day, where she was like, it bothers you, doesn't it? Like, the youngest girl being married off to her father, and it was just really interesting, the scene back then between those two. And Rhaenyra's making this desperate play to have her son's claim be backed, and she says that she'll marry both of her sons to both of the daughters of Damon, you know, joining their houses, strengthening the line, etc., etc. By the way, she's wearing black here, right? Which I think is pretty telling as far as where she'll end up as far as the battlefield of the blacks and greens is concerned. But, you know, after the scene, you're kind of feeling like this shit ain't going to happen, dude. She's like, yeah, right, you've made your bed, now sleep in it. This is the Game of Thrones, bitch! Now, Rhaenyra comes in to visit the king, her father, in the middle of the night. He mistakes her for someone else. I believe it's Alicent. Am I wrong? Help me out here. Help me out here. I think the king mistakes her for Alicent. Chat, help me out. I'm going to take a pause and drink some water. Is that true? This is important. Okay. This is important, and it's going to parallel what happens at the very end of the episode. He thinks it's Alicent. It's his daughter. She tells him what's up. They have a conversation, and essentially, she pleads for his help. She's like, if you really want me to have the crown, if you really want to protect me, your ass needs to step the fuck up. That's what it is. And this, of course, will set up brilliant, incredible, redeeming, unbelievable scene that happens a few moments later, okay? So this scene was really cool, very emotional, and you're kind of left feeling like, I don't know, man. She might be dunzo here, you know what I mean? Like, this says it all right there. She feels like she's done, man. And I think that you're led to feel that way as well, right? And the cobwebs, again, you're like, dude, it's just over. So then we cut to the king, and the visual effects team deserves a lot of credit. Of course, the actor deserves an incredible amount of credit. I think if he doesn't get all the awards, like, just give him all the awards. Like, they should do this random thing where, like, all the award shows for television for the next year, they're just like, sorry, man, look, it's Patty, bro. We got to give him all of them. And then just end the show real quick. You know, have Megan Thee Stallion twerk on Master Chief again and just call it a fucking day because he deserves all the awards, okay? Crazy scene with him being worked on. He says, yo, let's set up a dinner tonight. I'm kind of feeling it. I mean, I feel like I haven't looked this good in years. You know, I'm kind of feeling the drip of this new mask that I got. You know, throw some glitter on my horrible rotting corpse and let's get this party started. And Otto's like, I don't know about that, bro. Tries to give him the milk of the poppy again to get his bitch ass to fall asleep and not be cognizant. And the king's like, nah, not today. Not today. I'll be okay. And he really doesn't look like he's going to be okay. You know what I mean? It looks pretty horrible. Okay. So then we get to the proceeding. Hand of the king in a crazy cool over shot again. Really awesome, you know. Basically, Otto's like, we're here to hear petitions about the Driftmark throne. I represent the king on this and all matters. So, you know, y'all is done. Okay? So then this dude comes up, says some of his piece. She begins to kind of speak back again and basically is like, yo, if you're saying all this shit about blood, my sons are the same blood. And she knows this isn't true, but whatever. That's what she's going to say. He's like, whatever, you know, those aren't real Valerians, etc., etc. You know, he had that really cold line where he said, like, I could cut my flesh and show it to you. And then right as it seems like they're all screwed and Rhaenyra's right about to make her case, the king shows up, and it was so powerful, dude. It was such a powerful scene, incredibly shot, and the way he's announced, powerful. You know, titles, but it was powerful the way he's announced. And he comes in on his own, walking up to the throne. Otto's reaction is brilliant. A brilliant performance by this dude as well. Which is weird because I just noticed he comes out of the seat actually already in the background, blurred. But then he comes out again. See right here, he's up. He's all the way up there, and then he's standing up again here. But whatever, it's a continuity thing. Brilliant. She's like, oh shit. Everybody's shocked. And this walk here, this dude's shocked. Everybody's shocked. The walk and the performance by him is so brilliant. He refuses help at first, makes his way to the throne. By the way, I don't know if this is true. Somebody check me out on this, but I've been told that this was not in the script. When the crown falls off of his head, they were in the middle of a shot, and it just happened. And then Damon went and picked it up, and they just went with that. Crazy. You can have like these little miracles that happen because the symbolism of the king falling off of his head, the crown falling off his head, and Damon picking it up, and Damon helping him. I mean, this is like one of those just happy accidents that can happen in cinema. You know, it's just like almost some kind of cosmic continuity or something. You know what I mean? Powerful, dude. Damon picks it up. You know, he's like, I told you I'm fine. And then he turns up to see his brother, who absolutely loves him. And this was an incredible moment. So powerful. So powerful. He's like, come on. You know? And he allows him to help him up. Gets onto the throne. And then Damon putting the crown on him too. Powerful. Powerful scene. And the lines and the dialogue that he gives here while sitting on the throne was so good, so powerful, probably the most kingly that Viserys has been the entire show. It was like, it was a fucking incredible performance. It was an incredible moment that was just really created by all of the tension and all of the characters and everything that was going on. And he essentially scenes, I must admit my confusion on why we're hearing petitions on a matter that was already solved. if there was anybody that could bring any clarity to this situation, it's my cousin. And again, like, what a nice little way to pass the tension. Because, of course, we just saw a scene with her basically telling Rhaenyra, nah, you're done. And here, seeing that Viserys has actually managed to step up and be kingly as fuck in a moment to help his daughter, I feel like she's just feeling the love. I feel like she's also politically smart and knows to turn against Viserys right here would be like really bad. And she backs Rhaenyra and sort of says that the marriage proposal is accepted, which is like a really nice sort of end to everything. You know what I mean? And everything appears to be concluded. But then this motherfucker right here couldn't let it go, dude. He was like, oh, hell no, fam. Your old rickety ass coming in here, fucking up my plan. Your daughter's a whore. And her kids are bastards. Right? Like, you gotta tell, this dude went for it, bro. You gotta give him credit. Dude went for it. And we're gonna skip right the F ahead. And I do mean head ahead. Because, I mean, Damon fucks him up, dude. You know what I mean? Like, Damon takes him out. And I've seen some really funny memes about this already. It's really wild, dude. Like, it's really, really wild. But yeah, he's done. Face removed. You know. It's over. So then we cut into this scene here with them at the dinner. And it's really interesting, man. It's very tense. Very tense with all these people together. They're like estranged, all these little looks back and forth at each other, etc., etc. The king is brought in because that was the last time Viserys was walking to that throne. I think that's cool, man. I really think that's poetic, right? It's the last time he ever walked. And so he's brought in. It's a very heartwarming scene, man, because there's all the bitterness, all the drama. And yet, Viserys, once again, doing something more kingly, more awesome than he has done the entire show, takes off his mask, revealing himself, and literally just begging these people, begging them to see him as just a man that loves them. And his plea about how the house of the dragon cannot be strong being so divided. It was powerful, dude. Like, it was legitimately powerful. And then you get them toasting each other. I thought Rhaenyra's toast was awesome. And the thing that's, I think, so good about the writing in this scene is that it's true. As much as we don't like Alicent, and I think a lot of people don't like Alicent, it is indeed the truth that nobody else has been there as often and as consistently for Viserys as Alicent. She's been a good wife, dude. You know what I mean? Sure, she's got her own political things, and some of that is actually pushed by motherhood, which is kind of explored later as well. But it's like, dude, she is good to him. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty wild, right? And so you get that toast there. It really, it hit, man. And then she comes back and toasts as well. And it felt really pure. Let me ask you guys a question. Because it seems like in this scene that Alicent actually gave up the ambitions and accepted Rhaenyra as queen and as the heir. What do you think? Yes or no? Do you buy it? Or do you think she's just being nice because her husband's about to die? Or do you think it's real? You think it's real? Yeah. This is why it's so crazy. I think it's real, dude. This is why it's so heartbreaking. Because it's real. Partially because Aegon's a fucking idiot. right? Probably because of that. She's probably like just legitimately thinking things through, having gone through all the experiences with Aegon the way that she has, seeing this true old friendship and actual empathetic version of Rhaenyra, all these different things. I think this was like the moment it could have ended, dude. Like, we could have had a good ending. The Targaryens could have still been around. Like, this is great. And that's why, because we know where this is going. And even if you don't know the books and you're just trying to stay spoiler free from that, it's a civil war, dude. It's a Targaryen civil war. So you got to know that's where it's going. You've got to know. And literally all these people are probably going to fucking die. All of them. In probably grotesque, horrible, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching ways. And before all of that madness happens, we get a moment like this. And you're just like, damn, bro. Like, it really could have gone down a different way. You get another toast here where Jace, after being offended and being angry, decides to kind of pull it back and actually, you know, I mean, I still feel like he's trying to undercut them, of course. He took his eye and et cetera, just being a douche. But he ends up kind of saying it in a good way. She comes out and kind of talks some shit on Aegon, which I thought was really funny. I don't know if she even fully knows what she's saying or doing. He's like, yo, let's dance. So they go to dance. Things are going good. You know what I mean? Things are going well. But then Viserys has to go because he's just basically dying. Right? Like, and a lot of these little looks back and forth between them. And he's, you know, there's just a lot of love in the room, man. I think this is maybe one of the first times that they've all been at peace and been feeling good about their stations and, you know, relationships, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that is, look at Matt Smith, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. You kidding me? The puppy dog eyes? He's sad as fuck, dude. This is incredible. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, look at this. Look at that face, dude. Ridiculous. So then they have to get him. They have to go out of there. And then he's brought a pig, which I saw this either one of two ways. Apparently, this was done by his cousins as an insult. Okay? I thought maybe Aemond himself would have done this as like a metaphor to show that like he's eating the literal pig of the joke and how they used to talk about him, et cetera, right? But regardless, the pig shows up. I guess it was meant as an insult, right? Because they're kind of like chuckling and shit at it, I think. So then he stands and gives the speech and the subtle thing of like calling them strong. This is in the books. This is a big deal. We kind of knew this was coming. The strong boys, the three strong boys. There's an anger outburst, and there's like a little bit of a tension here between Damon and Aemond. And again, second sons, both really good warriors, both looking hella Targaryen. It's going to be really interesting to see those two maybe come to blows later on. But, you know, the overall very good evening and the good dinner is sort of ruined. But the moms are still feeling each other. Again, I buy it. I believe it. I feel like it's real, and I feel like it's heartfelt. Now, we then get this thing, which I believe this will come back later. This is Damon's old mistress, the one that he claimed he had a son with, but never actually did or whatever, right? So the lady that brings the tea, I think they've been calling it Plan T, like Plan B. She rolls up to her, and so there's probably going to be some kind of, hey, I know this info, I'm going to give it to one side, etc., maybe Damon's side, who knows for sure, but that'll come into play later. And then the end of the episode, which I mean, I feel like everybody really does understand the interpretation here, but I'm going to go through it as well, and then I'll just like briefly talk about, like, because Grace Randolph misinterpreted this scene, and it was pretty cringe. When I watched her video, I was like, oh my God, like, you really didn't get that. And she even said she missed it, and she apologized on Twitter and stuff. But I was like, holy shit, what a L. So I remember earlier in the episode where he thinks it's Alicent, but it's actually Rhaenyra. In this scene, he thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra. Yeah. So she thinks she's being told something on the deathbed that he's like, you got to make Aegon king. That is absolutely not what he's talking about. What he is saying to Rhaenyra is that Aegon's dream was real. A Targaryen has to be on the throne. You are the prince that was promised. He was literally saying, Rhaenyra, you're the prince that was promised, because dragons can change sex. This is kind of one of the interesting things about dragon. And in High Valyria, the word prince is actually non-sexually determining. Like, it could be female or male. This is brought up a lot in the Game of Thrones fandom because the idea of the prince that was promised was like, people really thought that Daenerys could be the prince that was promised, because again, in Old Valyrian, that word can be female or male, right? It is the Westerosi bias that makes people think of it as like a male thing. It could very easily be female. And so I think what he's literally trying to say here on his deathbed is that the dream was real, that the night is coming, that a Targaryen must sit the Iron Throne, and that his daughter is the prince that was promised. Alicent completely misunderstands this, and you can't even, at least for me personally, I don't even blame Alicent, because she has no idea what the fuck he's talking about, dude. I don't think he's ever told her about the dream. I don't think he told her once at the hunt about the dreams, and he did say he had a dream once, right? But I don't know that there's enough established where I could say Alicent should have known what he was talking about. I can't go that far. So she's completely mystified, and she thinks that on his deathbed, he told her, yo, you know that frat boy, sexual predator, horrible asshole son that you've got? He's got to be king. Like, he's got to be king. Otherwise, we're all screwed. Which is so crazy because, especially because of Alicent's faith, we have to assume that part of, if not all of the faith that she has is real. She's going to do this because she thinks it's what's right. She probably thinks it's some kind of intervention by the gods. And it's going to... It's basically going to fuck everything up, dude. Like, again, this is why this episode is so tragic and heartbreaking, because you get real moments of these characters getting over their grievances, coming together. And it's all going to be undone by the last few words of this crazy dying old man who had an incredible episode and then does die. And holy cow, now we're going to get into the crazy juice of the actual conflict, the actual Dance of the Dragons. And I got to say, like, I don't think you're going to get a lot of this. Like, you're not going to get the whole thing resolved in the last 2 episodes of this show. But, man, season 2. I mean, dude, how hyped are y'all going to be for season 2? Holy shit. Like, I was probably going to be excited for it either way because, yeah, it was probably going to end up being the Dance of the Dragons, actual dragon conflict. But the way this first season was handled, now, no more time jumps, by the way. They've said that. No more time jumps. These are the actors and the characters that we're going to see from here. And we're going to get it, like, there will be blood. It's going to get crazy. So, I'm super excited! And I thought it was really cool. Oh, shit, Bleach in 5 minutes. Yeah, well, I've got to get... Damn, I took a long time. It's probably the dogs that fucked me up there. But, yeah, okay, so let's get into Q&A, and then let's get on out of here, because I got to go watch Bleach, the new Bleach, man. Let's fucking go. Gotta do it. More dragon battles, please. I totally understand, Mark, and I hope we get multiple seasons of hardcore dragon battles and a lot of actual good stuff, because I trust me, I understand the lack of action bothering people. I am a person that loves action, and I love conflict. But I also, like, I love when a show's, like, really tense and character-driven. So, like, I want to get to the smash as well. and I think we will. But I'm absolutely loving this first season. Okay, so let me get through these super chats and member chats here. And we'll sort of fly through these, and then I'll look in the chat a little bit, and then I'm going to go watch some Bleach. Ryan Badley, One Kenobi. Welcome back to the Nerd Vengers, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. XA says with a $10 holla. Haven't seen this episode yet, but I'm upset we haven't seen much on the OG houses, nor the Third Eye Raven or Night King. It's true. The prophecy is referred to a lot, but yeah, you're not seeing a lot of that stuff heavily explored. I've got theories on where it could go, and again, I do think it's possible that John will sit on the Iron Throne still, which would be crazy. Scaldy with a $5 holla says, let's go, Amond One Eye. New problematic favorite just dropped. Yeah, he is awesome, dude. Like, definitely thought he was great, and also would love to see him in the MCU. That's a very intense actor for sure. Jeff says, member for 23 months, love the Hot D breakdowns. Thanks for all that you do, Nerd Vengers for life. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the love. Jared DeSanto, welcome back to the Nerd Vengers, man. Appreciate you. Nanu Wee Woo with a $10 holla says, all hail Scooper King. Oh, shit. Yeah, man. I'm the Scooper King. Y'all didn't know? Now you do. MTS 1993 with a $5 holla says, where does Hot D rank among the streaming series you've watched in 2022? The show beats everything the Mouse House has released this year. Yeah, it's probably my number one, man. Stranger Things, the last season of Stranger Things was crazy too. I mean, that shit was like, wow, bro. Like, wow. But maybe just because I'm a little bit more of like a fantasy dragon, kind of guy. I would say Hot D. Got to see how it ends. 2 more episodes, but I'd say Hot D is at the top of the list. Probably Stranger Things 4, or is it 5? I don't know. The most recent one, right under that. That show slaps, dude. So yeah, and dude, those things are literally playing in a totally different league than anything Marvel or Disney or Star Wars. Like, it's not even close. Clown Theory says, hello there. Why, General Kenobi, you are a bold one. Elijah says with a $20 holla, very generous, says, watching Hot D comfy in my bed, laying under the covers. Nice, dude. When the old king limped into court to defend his family, I physically couldn't stay laying down. I felt physically compelled. I had to sit up. That's the magic of film. Dude, you're absolutely right. That shit was powerful, dude. Powerful. I mean, if you don't feel a swell of emotion at that moment, like, yeah, you're doing something wrong. Like, it's those kind of moments. And again, I keep coming back to that crown. If that really wasn't in the script, if that really happened serendipitously and it created that moment like that, I mean, that's like, dude, like, storytelling, man. It's a powerful act of trying, like, I'm obsessed with story. I love story. And I think one of the reasons I love fiction and I love storytelling so much is it's like, it's a lie that tells us a deeper truth about ourselves, right? And so, like, the exploration of character through story becomes like a mirror through which we can examine and re-examine our own choices, our own lives. It's very powerful. In some ways, we think in story. It's like you can't not, like, story is so ingrained to the human experience. But that moment in particular was incredibly good. Probably one of the top moments of television of all time. Like, you will be hearing about that for years to come, I assume. Mo from the Foe says, Viserys' story is sad. Damon's character is written brilliantly. I'm Team Green. I just don't like Alicent kids, but I have zero respect for Rhaenyra. Hey, nothing wrong with that, dude. I understand. And then he followed up and says, like, bro, I don't care if you use a turkey baster, but you need brown babies. Least you can do. Yeah, it is interesting that they couldn't have figured something better out, right? Because there's a moment in Game of Thrones where what's the lady's name, man? She's like the Queen of Thorns' daughter, and she's talking to her son about like how her brother could come in and aid them, or she's talking to the new king or the king at the time about her brother coming in to aid them, because she's like, we could do whatever we got to do to get this done. And again, like, we don't know what efforts those two actually went through to make it happen, but it didn't work. And I agree, like, if they had just made it work, it would have been much better for everybody. But at the same time, the fact that it didn't work and that there's all this like political red tape, it's intriguing. You know what I mean? I'm Team Green. You know what I mean? Like, I like Rhaenyra. I really like Damon. So I'm Team Green, or Team Black rather, but I understand being Team Green. Mike Edens, again, thanks for the very generous super chat, man. But yeah, we'll see. Kevin Cummings says, dude, what's up with Nerd Theory? Getting some vibes. I mean, I think we should be back tonight. I spoke to Theory over the weekend, and I think he was just busy. You know what I mean? And I know he's got a lot going on right now. So I think he's just busy. I also said, like, I literally made the offer where I was like, dude, if it's too negative, because like I haven't even watched Andor 5, and I don't think I'm going to, even before the show tonight. I was like, if it's too negative, like I can take a break, you know, from Nerd Theory as well. And he was like, no, nothing like that. It's like, it's all good. So I think we'll be back. But again, I don't know. Like, if he's got a lot going on, it's possible he still has a lot going on, right? And just being honest with you too, bro, nobody gives a fuck about Andor. So like, it's a dead ass time for Star Wars right now. So even if like we could do the show, I understand not doing it. I understand like prioritizing some other things because like, dude, like again, I'm not trying to harp on it. I walked away so I didn't have to sort of linger on this negativity, but nobody gives a fuck about this show, bro. You know what I mean? So I rest my case. Mo from the Foe says Viserys showed up looking like Tara Snoop. Wait, I don't even know who that is actually. I'm gonna look that up. Oh, okay. The Jedi dude? I mean, I guess. It's a wild take, but sure. That dude gets frozen, right? I think he's in the underground thing in Kenobi, right? Mandalore says, Nerd Theory tonight, also shave your head. Yeah, I think we should be back, bro. But also, hell no, I ain't shaving my head, bro. Hell no, I ain't shaving my head, bro. Oh, here comes all the Andor defenders. Look, I understand that you guys like Andor, but just look at the stats out there, dude. Nobody gives a fuck about it. There's this very small contingent of Star Wars fans that like the show, that are happy with it, that are happy with where Star Wars is. And I honestly, it's like, yo, good for you guys. Like, you can have it. It's all good. But look at the numbers. Like, they're not there. The videos that are about Andor are not popping. Star Wars videos in general on the internet are not popping. People are checking out from Star Wars in troves or droves or roves. Who cares about stats? Obviously not you. And that's fine. I and many other people that run channels that in some way arbitrage the attention that's given to fandom, people like me care. In fact, people like me rely on it. And you don't have to. That's totally fine, dude. Like, it's all good. But, yeah, I think that show's trashed, dude. Yeah, but they're not checking out because of Andor. It's because of crap that came before. I would agree that it's a lot because of things that came before. For me, though, I legitimately do not like Andor. And when I watched those first 3 episodes, I knew I would not like it. And I don't like where Star Wars is at. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Look, it's all good. I mean, to me, this is why I wanted to walk away, though, because I totally understand if you're like a real fan of something and you're still in their corner, right? Because I feel like a lot of people that are defending Andor are still in the corner of Star Wars or Lucasfilm, and that's totally cool. And I think that it's obvious that that show is a little bit better than Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett. And so, yeah, like you probably like see that as a win, or you're like, let's go, like that's the dub. And I understand being very defensive about it. But like, I just don't care, and I can't operate at that level of like, oh, well, maybe I should cheer for the show despite all of my feelings about it and about the brand because it's better than the last 2 goobly glob pieces of shit that we've gotten. Right? So like, that just ain't it. I'm not going to do that. And the numbers will just bear out itself. Like, you guys can like be very vocal about how you love it, but Lucasfilm, unless things rapidly turn around, will understand that this is not a direction they should continue in. The problem is I don't have much faith that they'll be able to recognize what direction they should go in. And so I think that we're kind of, until something big changes with the leadership, we're kind of doomed to just be on this roller coaster ride with Star Wars. It just came out today. Speaking of positive things in Star Wars, and by the way, I'm gonna get out of here because I gotta go watch some Bleach. But apparently Lars is probably going to be Thrawn still, which is incredible. At the like about a year ago, he and Mina were almost a lock for Thrawn and Ezra, right? Obviously, they went a different way with Ezra. Didn't know what was going on with Thrawn, but I had heard it was not going to be Lars. Well, all of a sudden, now it probably is going to be Lars. That's a huge W, and I'm super excited for Ahsoka. Like, there were some images that were shared about Ahsoka. People are hyped up about Ahsoka. I'm all about it. But to me, man, like, yo, Andor is just not it. And I, like, literally have zero desire to watch that show. So, I don't think I'm going to watch last week's episode. I don't think I'm going to watch this week's episode. Maybe I'll watch like some videos that break the entire season down after it's done, just like see what happened. But like, no, like I legitimately don't like it. So, yeah, Cobra Kai's crushing, Peter. It absolutely is. Cobra Kai's crushing it. Yeah. Josh, were you doing a watch party for Tales of the Jedi? I don't know. Maybe. I kind of want to. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not 100% sure. Your loss? Sure, bud. Sure, bud. Whatever you say. Didn't the prequels have good numbers? Dumb argument. Oh, my God. Look, I'm going to get out of here because I'm trying not to be super toxic and freak out on the Star Wars fans. But, like, your energy, guys, is so cringy to me. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are ready to defend this dying, sinking ship of a brand at any turn with a tenacity that baffles my mind. Why are you so loyal to what is clearly a shadow of what Lucasfilm was under George Lucas? I just don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't get it, personally. I just don't understand it. So, your energy is the worst. Unsubscribing. Dude, honestly, go with peace, brother. Like, go with peace, because if you stick around much longer, you're going to go without peace, motherfucker. I'm going to ban your ass for sure. So, please, just go with peace, man. Just get on out of here. She-Hulk finale watch party? Nah. Nah. But I have heard that the last episode might actually slap. You know what I mean? I have heard the last episode might actually be cool. And you can see that Hulk will be back in the finale for at least part of it. So, shit's going to be sick. Super Nate says, given the state of Star Wars right now, maybe you in theory could consider making Nerd Theory more than just Star Wars show. I think the audience doesn't particularly care what you guys talk about. Yeah, we've thought about that, man. You know what I mean? I think at this point, like, look, I don't feel great about necessarily like putting him in the position that I have, because like I cannot muster much positivity anymore. And so I'm out, right? As long as he still wants the show to remain the way that it is, I'm down to be there. I will be negative when I'm there. And if we can still make some good content and still have fun, like, I'm down. But as far as like, you know, changing this show up completely or entirely, I don't know that either of us have the bandwidth to really like take that on right now, right? He's got a million things going on. I've got a million things going on. So yeah, kind of is what it is. Kind of is what it is. All right, everybody. Much love to you. And I'm going to get on out of here. I'm going to go watch that Bleach, man. I'm pretty excited about it. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the chats, the member chats, the super chats. I even appreciate you butthole Star Wars fans. I'll see you guys later on. Take care of yourselves. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome end day nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. everybody gone? Did everybody leave? How do I reach these kids? How do I walk the line? How do I move forward when these bitch ass, whiny ass, cry baby motherfucking Star Wars fans won't get a goddamn clue? It's over. It's fucking over. It's done. Much love. I'll see y'all later. I'm gonna go watch Bleach, who I'm pretty sure Disney acquired the rights to just because they knew Star Wars was fucking done. Yeah. Take care of yourselves. Open up your third eye. Wash out the brown eye. Make sure to wash and get vegetables, drink water.